Welcome to Home with Phuntsok. Phuntsok is finally back after a month away doing his retreat and taking some time to himself. And thank you so much again to everyone who's contributed, supported, sent loving thoughts and prayers. I know it really meant so much to Phuntsok to receive such love and support. And, you all know how much Phuntsok really rarely takes time for himself. He's so busy with his full-time job, teaching, coaching, really helping people all the time. So this was really a big deal, and I'm so happy he was able to have it. And before we jump into today's topic, I was wondering, Phuntsok, if there's anything you'd like to share from the time you had to yourself. And if anyone has questions, even questions about doing a retreat yourself, we can open up space for that here.
Oh yeah, let's see. I guess it was a successful retreat in a sense of, I don't think I had enough time. I wanted to continue. I didn't want to stop. I guess in that sense, some of the commentaries say, "Oh, that's a sign that you had a good retreat." So I have to say that I really appreciate everyone's prayers, everyone's contributions to actually help me to be able to take the time and to be able to do this retreat. I knew that I usually call it when the time to go to retreat comes, it just comes. I just feel the need. I call it the need for the cave. It didn't call me for quite some time, and I was sort of waiting for it. Where's that call? And finally, it showed up. It said, "Got to be in retreat." You guys made it possible, and always, very short notice too. So I really appreciate it in all the ways that you were able to help, and the contributions that you made, the monetary contributions, the prayer contributions, all those kinds of contributions, and contribution of seeing how important it was for me and then allowing for space for it to happen. So I really thank you for that. So when the takeaway that I can say that I got from the retreat, sorry, I need to become enlightened. It was one day short. I would say, what was happening? I had to stop. So until the next retreat. I was kidding for those of you who are very serious people. But the takeaway that I got from it was how easy it was for me to get back into it. It was something that I used to do almost every year, and I started doing it when every summer when I was first started to go to my teacher's teachings. Every August was like you would take like 2 or 3 weeks to give teachings, to give initiation, and to give teachings. So August became like the time I would take time off from work. I would spend 2 weeks. And somehow August became too hot of a month for us to continue because the air conditioner would break down and the space of the temple would be too crowded, too many people, and the BTUs emanating from people's bodies would be too much. And some people would start sweating, and then they would just no longer be focusing on what my teacher was saying. Even if it was about to give the secret of achieving enlightenment the next moment, people were too concerned about, oh my God, it's so hot, I'm so uncomfortable. So my teacher decided to no longer have the teachings during the month of August, so he would have it some other time. But since August was the time that I just got so used to it, so August became my retreat month. And later on, I wanted to do longer longer retreats. So I started doing retreats during winter. So, and winter became my retreat month. But that was a long time ago. The last time I was in retreat was, believe it or not, before COVID. Years before COVID was the last time I was actually in retreat. And you know, everything before COVID is like millennia ago. So it was a very long time. I think maybe it was, I think the last time I was retreat, my teacher's previous life, he was in his previous body. So he left his previous body like maybe 8 or 12 years ago. So it's been that long. So you tell you how much I appreciate it. And then it's been that long, and yet going back into retreat, it felt like I'm back home again. But I have to say though, it was a bit difficult. It was a bit difficult to get into the groove of it, because getting rid of the 12 years of of accumulating bad habit of not doing this. And also my body decided to my body decided to do a bit rebellious. I thought, I'm back. I'll do, let me see if I probably could do 1,000 prostrations a day. Okay, I didn't do 1,000 prostrations, but I was trying to get close to do 1,000 prostrations a day. You know, every time before I sit, I'll probably do 300. After the first 300 prostrations, I felt so good. Look at me, I'm doing 300 prostrations, even though I haven't done that so long ago. But my body said, excuse me, sir. You didn't ask me for permission. You didn't prepare me for this. And so my body sent me an interesting experience called sciatica. And I thought, oh my God, I have the shingles. I should have taken the vaccine before I started this retreat. Because it was like the back of my legs were like on fire. It's like my nerves were on fire. Sitting was uncomfortable. Standing was uncomfortable. Lying down was uncomfortable. So the only thing that was not uncomfortable was pacing back and forth. So I would pace back and forth. I would get tired of pacing back and forth. I would sit. It's time for me to sit down. I would sit. And then as soon as I sit down, this feels so good. And after 5 minutes, I can't sit anymore. And I had to endure. My mind was on the pain. Okay, let's forget about the pain. Focus on the breath. Focus on meditation. The body said, "You're gonna pay attention to me, okay? You didn't ask me for permission to do 300 prostrations all at once. Who do you think you are? What do you think I am? You think you got joyous perseverance already? We haven't mastered that yet." So eventually, after a week or so of, then I finally discovered that. And so I don't know how I discovered that. It must be sciatica. So I started to do some stretchings. And at first, just being able to bend a little bit was painful. And forget about doing more prostrations. Just thinking of doing prostration, my body felt painful. So sleeping was painful. Everything was painful. Eventually, I started doing some little stretches as much as I could, like 5 seconds to hold a stretch. I'm not talking about some big stretch. I'm talking about just being able to bend down and feel something. 1, 2, oh my God, can I do this for more? 4, 5 seconds, and then stop. And eventually I build up being able to return to do 25 prostrations rather than 300 prostrations at a time. So that realization was how important the body is as a partner on the spiritual path. You can't just ignore the body. You can't just say, the mind is going to overcome the body. Maybe when you're very realized way down the path, you may be able to do that. But in the beginning, it's a partnership between your body and your mind, and they have to be cooperating with each other. One shouldn't try to dominate the other. Okay, that's my first realization. And the other realization that I had was, oh my God. And this was so touching. We are so lucky. We are so fortunate to be living in this kind of age. And yet we encounter such being as the Dalai Lama, we encounter such being as my teacher, to be able to encounter such beings. And I can tell you, I'm reading the text, the classic texts on when you have this realization, these are the signs that you have this realization. And I'm looking around the world, people that I know who have shown signs of shown these signs. Not that many people that I know have shown these signs. Some people show like they could show these signs, and some people they do this without even knowing that they're able to do it. It's like spontaneously something happens to them, and they don't know where it's coming from. So that told me that we are under the care of highly realized beings. We are under the care of immeasurable compassionate beings. Because I'm looking at myself and what I would say, the miraculous things that have happened in my life, the people that I've encountered. I'm not talking about just, people who are so-called realized beings, but just the kinds of friends, the kind of people that I've been able to encounter, that I know, and how fortunate I am to know these people, and how their relationship to me is such an invisible help that I'm not even able to realize the full extent of how just knowing so and so is helping me, has helped me, and is helping me. And the thing is, I felt such great, you could say, gratitude, such great gratitude that we are so cared for by so many incredible beings, that you could even say that the things that seems to be demonstrations of realizations are not necessarily because of our own efforts. They are like gifts given to us by, it's like highly realized, highly compassionate beings have rented us a little piece of their realization because of the connections that we have established with them. So you could say the most powerful thing that we have done up to this point is to establish relationships with very powerful beings that we're not even aware that they are with us. And I was so touched by that when I'm sitting down, I'm trying to meditate, and my mind was like a mess. And somehow encountering this mess didn't discourage me. Why wasn't I discouraged? Because I'm so easily discouraged. So it's somehow, I have to say, these invisible, greatly compassionate beings lend me some help. And I was taken back to when I first met my teacher, and the first, I would say the first year that I was that I came under his guidance, and the miraculous things that were happening in my life. And it's because of those things that you could say I didn't become discouraged. So even though that's not some big realization where I can now place my hands on you and then you can incredible things will happen in your life, but it was I consider that to be a big realization that the compassion that we idealize in the Bodhisattva actually exists, and it is working for us. And there are beings, even though we do not have the you could say the merit or the means to actually encounter them directly, they're still working very hard for us. I can think of certain beings, certain teachers that I've encountered, and I don't want to say any names, who were able to do miraculous things, like they say, I want to see a rainbow, and they wave their hands and there's a rainbow in the sky. Or they snap their finger and then there's like a shower of what you might call drops of rainbow, like little drops of rainbows just falling. And when you ask them, how did you do that? They say, I don't know. And I have to say, are they lying to us? Are they lying when they say, I don't know how I did it? Or are they telling the truth in the sense that because they're so connected to these powerfully compassionate beings, powerful beings, that through those connections, those powerful beings are able to use them to make miraculous things like that, so that we don't lose courage, so that we don't lose faith, so that we can constantly have faith. Because the world, if we just listen to the world, you would give up many times over. If it wasn't for those beings, I would say samsara would have just been hell. That's it. There wouldn't be samsara divided into a mediocre heaven and then some mediocre suffering. It would just be hell, and that's it. We would have been just lost. But I'm convinced, and that's my realization, I'm convinced that such powerful bodhisattvas exist, because a lot of things that happened in my life, I don't see how I did anything for them to happen. And look at me, I'm sitting here babbling, and then there's a bunch of people sitting there listening to me. Wow, what a miracle. What a miraculous thing. And of course, the very last thing is, I mean, I have many little realizations, but don't have time to discuss all of them. How a lot of, okay, I'm finally admitting it, but not entirely. Some difficulties, some painful experiences that we encounter, okay, I'm going to say it, yeah, unnecessary for growth. That doesn't mean now go out and look for painful experiences. The thing is, as you're on the path, trying to avoid painful experiences, trying to engage, trying to do the things that you know you're supposed to do to avoid pain, and yet you find yourself encountering painful situations. Those painful situations are necessary. They are necessary steps along the way. They're necessary for our growth. Okay. And again, I'm not saying like I remember when I was earlier days, there were some students who misunderstood that saying, that they actually say, oh, I'm going to go out and look for some suffering so I can grow. Not in that way, okay? While you're looking to avoid suffering, doing the things to avoid suffering, through that, you may experience some difficulties. So those difficulties are necessary, okay? And I'm not talking about hypothetical, theoretical suffering. I'm not talking about the kind of suffering that you're expecting. Okay, yeah, if my, like, for example, my body might experience some pain, so I'm ready for that. I'm not talking about those kinds of easy things. I'm talking about very difficult things that are emotionally very difficult. Like you thought you were doing everything that you were supposed to be doing that was correct, and you're discovering that you need, you're not there yet. You need more training. You need to readjust your understanding, things like that. And it could be very painful. And we have to grow through them. We have to go through that pain. And we will discuss it as we go through the perfection that we are up to now.
Phuntsok's entering and during and emergence from retreat was so brutal. Before he went into retreat, he got very, very sick and had 103-degree fever for like 3 days and just couldn't function at all. And then he emerged from COVID, from retreat with like bloody bandaged knees and bloody towels from his prostrations. And then he had to take care of me recovering from COVID. And yeah, it was a brutal time for you, actually. Well, if there are no questions right now, we can get into the class topic, which is very relevant to doing a retreat. We're picking up where we left off in December, and we're going to look at the fourth paramita of diligence. And some translations call it joyful effort, enthusiastic effort, vigor, or perseverance. So it's really up to you which word connects and activates you the most, because this quality is so crucial and vital to building progress on both a day-to-day basis of our practice and in the larger scope of the path we're on. And because we're human and we're samsaric beings and we live in a world of distractions and triggers, it's very likely we'll get into slumps, get burnout and fatigue. We get distracted, we fall into laziness, and we default to afflictive and self-sabotaging behavior. And even when we are paying attention, growth and transformation can be slow and incremental, and then we can become impatient. And impatience is definitely no ground to build diligence on. And I think it's helpful when I think about diligence and perseverance to not just think about diligence paying off in what looks like great success or triumph, like at the end of the road, but the continuously getting up after falling down multiple times and the resilience that it's building, and how these are opportunities to fine-tune our understanding of what is actually important to us and what really fuels us and what we're made of. So we're here today to hear from Phuntsok on diligence and perseverance and how we can strengthen this quality within ourselves to really fuel our pursuits on both a micro and macro scale. So Phuntsok, please.
Okay, thank you. Importantly, about the retreat, oh, okay. Also, last thing I want to say about the retreat was Liz's, I don't know, her help. If it wasn't for her, I would not have been able to. I mean, she organized everything, and she also was my caretaker. Yeah. So I am extremely, yeah, that's the thing with this thing. How is it? It comes and goes. Is it okay now? Is it still? Okay, good. Just want to express my gratitude also, not only to the bodhisattvas which are invisible, but to the bodhisattvas who are visible, like Liz, who took care of me, who was my was my caretaker. Thank you very much, even though she needed to be taking care of herself. So very grateful for that. All right, so we're going to do meditation. And this guided meditation will be no guides. You're just going to sit there and I think this is something that has been, I was made to realize how important this is, to be aware of your energy. Not to imagine what your energy should be like, not to imagine flowers and and then lotuses in different parts of your body. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just feeling something that you can say, I think this is energy, and just be aware of it. And that's all you're going to do for the next 10 minutes. All right. This is the only guidance I'm going to give you. Make yourself comfortable. Communicate to your entire being, your body, your mind, that you're going to meditate. Listen to how the body is responding, how the mind is responding to this intention. Allow the body, allow the mind to cooperate. And what you're going to do is to simply relax and be very curious about energy and just feeling it, not controlling it, not directing it, not creating visualizations, just really palpably just be aware of it. And don't try to adjust your thoughts. Just ask yourself, if you wish, what am I feeling energetically? And keep asking that question and give space for you to actually feel something. Don't have expectations as to what you feel like, but rather once you feel it, having some kind of understanding that this is energy or this is not energy. whatever experience that you're having, whatever measure of a sense of energy that you feel, you're connected to, you're aware of. So consider that to be, you are in some measure in a meditative experience. And just set your intentions. What is it that, why are you here tonight? And ask your mind, ask your entire being to cooperate, to help you fulfill your intention as to why we are here tonight. Take refuge in that part of you that's going to help you. Let it help you. And get ready to come out. And if you wish, you can sort of help you ground yourself into outside of the meditative state with a breath, taking the breath as a bridge. Take a nice deep breath if you want, through the nose or through the mouth. Just take a nice deep breath. Let it connect you to the present moment. And deliberately, consciously, even though you're aware of my voice, you're aware of things around you, but deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings. And just for the sake of it, I'm gonna play this. I mean, that's why I meditate, so I can play that bell at the end. And I hope that my voice is coming through in a continuous flow this time. Okay, great. All right. I'm going to begin this talk on diligence. Some people translate the term as joyful effort. And the reason for translating as joyful effort is because in the definition by Master Shantideva as to what is this thing, it defines it as that, joyful effort. So diligence, perseverance. Perseverance, that reminds you of something. Okay, not for you. I'll tell you later. No, my God, your curiosity. Okay. I'm going to talk about this. There's a theme that I keep repeating every once in a while when I talk about certain things. And it's something that I guess after one of my retreats way back then, I came out with this understanding of, it's a way of sort of trying to understand the idea of how is it that we are creating our world? And one of the obvious thing is that, wait a minute, why would I want to create this? What do you mean I created this? I don't want to create this. I don't want to experience this. How dare you say I created this? So how can this be true that we created our own experience, our experiences? We are creating our experiences. And that's what some of you have heard me use that term before, unconscious convictions. Okay? We create experiences through convictions. And keep that in mind, convictions. And the experience will happen. Doesn't matter if our whether this conviction is something that we are deliberately, consciously trying to establish, or if it's something that, like you said, deep within you. And I think Western psychology somehow have sort of pointed out to us that a lot of our behaviors comes from unconscious ideas that we have, unconscious convictions that we have. And this principle, we have to understand, and the reason I'm bringing up this idea about unconscious principle, unconscious convictions, is that there's never a time when we are not participating in what we experience as reality. It's not, even though, like I mentioned in the very beginning, these incredible compassionate beings who are like giving away experiences to us, but these experiences that they give to us, they are somewhat coming from our effort also in some way, or to some kind of connection, effort to make some sort of connection with these kinds of beings. And these connections are not necessarily connections that we consciously create these connections. Some of these connections, a lot of these connections, we create them unconsciously. Okay. And this is very important, to be able to arrive at the kind of joyful effort, the kind of diligence that is spontaneous, where we're not cranking ourselves up to get the enthusiasm, to get the energy to be able to accomplish something. Sorry, but this thing keeps slipping. The title of in the title of the email that was sent out, very nice job, Liz. In the title, in there, Liz, there is the mention of connecting with energy. And it is the same as when I said, connection is already there, right? No, we want to feel connected, you know, that expression that we use nowadays, to feel that we are spiritual beings. We are talking about, we want to feel connected. What can I do so I can have more connection? Connection is not something that you create. Connection is something that's already there. It's either we are aware of connection or we're not aware of it. Connection is already there. That's the truth of interdependence. That's what interdependence means. Things happen because of connection. Okay? So connection is not something that we are going to create. You don't go into some spiritual practice to bring into existence some beautiful condition called connection. It's already there. So in the same way, energy is already there. We are already using energy. We're already connected to it. Just like the expression that we say, create conditions for connection. And as far as reality is concerned, that's not what's really happening. It's not that we are disconnected and then you are going to connect. It's just that we are unaware of our connections. Or we could say that which we are connected to, we wish not to know about it. Because we are connected to a bunch of things that we wish that we're not connected to. Basically our suffering, our stupidity, our misunderstandings. And who wants to stay completely aware of things like that? We would prefer to be blissfully ignorant of those things. But for ignorance of something doesn't mean that it makes it not exist. It's existing. And what do I mean by we already have energy? You know, you've had this experience. There is something that you need to do that is very important. And you cannot find within you the energy to be able to do it. And you try to do it, your mind you get, our mind gets foggy. It feels like our mind actually is a substantial thing. It feels like it has weight and it's too heavy to carry. Our body becomes too heavy to carry. We think that we have lost energy. We don't have energy. We're not connected to energy. And yet, within the same stream, within the same stream, somebody comes and say, "Oh, Sade is giving a concert around the corner." All of a sudden, all the energy you couldn't find before, you find them. You're fully awake. You're very focused. You're very aware, and you have the energy to get out, to get dressed, to do all the kinds of things. And you spend 2 hours listening to Sade playing. Now you have the energy. What was that? What was that energy? What was that? What you were unplugged? Now you're unplugged. The energy wasn't there before. Now you created it. How is it that you created it? So the same, and the reason I'm mentioning this is because the energy, the diligence that we are now talking about, that we are seeking to connect to, that we are seeking to create in our lives, we're not going to create it. But just like somehow, just like that teacher who said, how did you create the rainbow? He said, I don't know. just like that. Where did you get the energy from? I thought you couldn't, your mind was too heavy. You were just about to fall asleep and you were going to put asleep. You didn't have energy to do this thing that it was necessary to do. But now you have all this energy. You're able to spend 2 hours, 3 hours with very vivid awareness to attend a concert or to do something that you really want, you're really interested in doing. What happened? And you would answer the same way. I don't know. The same way the teacher said, I don't know. The thing is, we created that. We created the condition. That's the unconscious part, the unconscious conviction. We have already created the condition as to this are the conditions when I will tap into an available energy. And we did this unconsciously. And we did these with stupidity. We were stupid, okay? We didn't know any better. But somehow we went through the process that connected us to energy. That's how we were able to find the energy to go to that concert, or to attend that event that just a moment ago you had no energy to attend, to do what you need to do. So what I'm saying is, what is talked about in the text, Master Shantideva he had a big chapter on this, right? What is it presenting to us? Is he presenting something to us that we have no idea about? Is he presenting something to us that is completely foreign to us? Like the capacity to tirelessly engage in something. You've experienced this in your life before, where sometimes you ask, where does energy come from? What accident did you find yourself in that connected you to that energy? No, the law of the universe doesn't say, oh, I feel sorry for you, Emmett. Let me give you a little energy. Since you're so poor with energy, I'm gonna have grace on you and give you a little energy, and finally you're connected to energy. No, the universe doesn't work that way. The energy that makes the bodhisattva indefatigable in doing virtue, the process of having that energy is the same as the process that gave you the energy to go to attend that concert. It's the same process. So hearing that it's the same process don't think that what is being presented to you is something that is going to be foreign to you. You're basically being told, this is what you did. Now direct this way and in this direction instead. Instead of engaging in the very process that creates a suffering experience, you're going to be engaging in the same mechanism, except this time you're going to direct it in such a way, in a conscious way, where we create experiences that are enlightening experiences that are desirable experiences, rather than unwanted experiences. It's not something foreign to your nature that you're going to be introduced to, and you finally, ooh, okay, now I'm rid of that the nature that I had before. Now I put on a new nature. Now I can do those beautiful things. And to put it in a different way, the power of creation is within you. The force is with you. The force has always been with you. The force will always be with you. And everything that you experience is through that force, that same force, that same thing. Okay, what is the step that you went through that made you to be able to reconnect it to very wakeful energy so you can attend that Sade concert? Okay. And it's mentioned already in the email. The first step is faith. And some people don't like the word faith. I mean, I'm in that category of people who just don't like that word faith. I prefer some other kind of word. But it's for those of you who are in that category who don't like that word, faith, just you know what we're talking about. Okay, don't be nitpicky. Okay, we know what we're talking about. All right, it's a process, and faith is not just let me grab that and faith. Everything is a process. To get faith, to get conviction, we go through a process. Even if this conviction is not necessarily for our benefit, okay? It's the same thing. It's the same kind of energy, you could say, right? So what is the process through which we are connected to faith? We are connected to conviction. It is basically going through your mind, allowing yourself, and I'm using that word deliberately, allowing yourself to perceive, is there anything there for me? And then perceiving that there is something in there for you. And the reason I deliberately use the term allowing is because we can allow ourselves to see the opposite. Oh, this Dharma thing is not for me. Oh, look at that. Look at what you have to do. You got to build an altar. You got to sit cross-legged. I mean, come on. If none of these things are things that you can see as something, oh, I won't mind doing that thing. Well, those are nice things to do. You can see those very same things as I don't want them. Okay. So allowing yourself to see what's in there for me. And it sounds selfish, but it's just a process of how it works. What is it going to be? And of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be selfish in the sense of I'll be the only one who owns this and that. I'll be the one who has this kind of experience. But you can also think of it in a compassionate way, because this is, after all, the perfection of diligence, not just diligence itself. The perfection of diligence. What makes it the perfection is that it's connected to being realistic about reality. And when I say being realistic about reality, I'm not talking about some hypothetical, nice philosophy. I'm talking about actual experience, being honest about actual experiences. This is boring. That's your actual experience, and you admit it. Then you're connected. You're connected with wisdom. Okay, but this is boring for you, and you're trying to force yourself to see it as not boring. And you're thinking that this should be joyful, and then imagining some sort of joyful experience when you're actually bored to death, you think that because joy is connected to wisdom, then it's that joy, that fake joy I have is wisdom. No, that's not wisdom. That's lying to yourself. Okay. This is boring, and that's your experience of it, and you admit it. Look, I am bored. Doesn't mean that I am bored, therefore I must stop this. But to acknowledge this is the experience that's going on. I have conditioned myself for this experience to be a boring experience, and then here it is, voila, all the conditions are present because that's what I set up for this experience to be. And now I'm experiencing it and I'm acknowledging it. So in the same way I set up this condition to be a boring experience, I can also set it up so that this very experience is very exciting. Oh my God, look at Phuntsok every once in a while adjusting the mic on his face. How exciting. And for some people, my God, why doesn't it stop doing that? That's so annoying. It's just that it's not in the perception of it itself, in the thing itself, it renders necessarily the experience of this is exciting or this is annoying. We set up the conditions, and these conditions that we set them unfortunately unconsciously. I mean, who wants to create samsara? Nobody goes out of their way to, oh, I'm bored with this bliss. Let me try some samsara. People actually believe that kind of stuff. Or we were bored in blissful heaven, and then that's why we decided to create samsara so we can have some excitement. What stupid conviction that is, huh? It's like not understanding what bliss is in the first place. If you get bored with it, it was never bliss, okay? Finally, you woke up. That's what happened. And now you're experiencing real reality as it is, and you're calling it suffering, okay? All right. So all these things are what comes about because we have set the condition. And everything is flexible, okay? Everything is flexible. Conviction is very important because once we tap into this thing called conviction, it doesn't matter if the conviction will steer us into something that will bring us bliss or if it will bring us utter suffering. Once that is set, it will just continue along its trajectory to bring whatever it is that it was meant to bring, okay? You could say the reason that we experience what we call samsara is because of a conviction. What is that conviction? Things are disconnected, that's what I got to connect. And I'll throw that word in there. I am really here, you're really there. I'm convinced, that's a conviction. And because of that conviction, we are forced to experience, oh, look at it, I am here and you're there. It seems to be that way. And then since this is not reality, that's why we experience suffering. Okay, all right. Now back to a matter at hand. So the first thing is we have to develop a conviction, a faith. And how to develop this? It's not that you look into your baggage of stuff. Let me see, where's faith? Okay, well, I don't see faith. We have to set up the condition for it. And how do you set up the condition for it? You keep looking at what you are aiming at. Is it something that you can, or you, here's the question, so-called spiritual people. Do you really believe in spirituality? Or are we already conditioned to be purely materialist? And it's not something that you necessarily, again, it's not something that we necessarily have to have consciously developed. It could have been an unconscious thing. This happened to you when you were this age, this happened to you when you're age, and you grab onto it as a conviction, and then it leads to inwardly, really, we are just materialists. And we're grasping at something called spirituality, but we're not really convinced that such a thing is a reality. It's almost as if we are grasping onto reality. I mean, we are grasping onto spirituality with the hope to be proven that it's hopeless anyway. It's hopeless. It's like, that's the conviction. It's hopeless. This is it. Suffering is or the only experience that exists. There cannot be an experience that is without suffering. And following some kind of path called spirituality to make you no longer experience suffering is not a real conviction, because the conditions have already been set where we are truly materialists. So we have to know ourselves so we can know what is truly my conviction. Do I really believe in this thing called enlightenment? Do I really believe in this thing called the possibility of being truly free from suffering? Is it really possible for me to achieve a state where I'm not only able to be free of limitations, but actually to be able to actually help others? I don't know exactly how it's going to be, how it's going to play out, but is it really possible to actually help others in an ultimate way? Or do we have conviction in that? Until we achieve conviction in this, effort that we make to try to get there will be basically a joke. Okay, it will be a joke. Take the example of Sade. There's already a conviction. If I go to that Sade concert, I'm going to experience a lot of contentment. And of course, that comes through a conditioning that I set up for myself. I'm convinced that will give me something that I want. And because of that conviction that I've established, that going to the Sade concert, Sade is not paying me any money to keep saying her name. Okay. So to go to that concert, I'm already conditioned myself, I already aligned myself with these sets of conditions. Sade, okay, here's the energy that I need to be able to go there, because I'm convinced it will be for my benefit. It will be good for me. I will like it. I will be content. Okay. That's why the energy comes. And I will even say, this is for later, but I'll say it a little bit here. You know, you spiritual people, you're trying very hard to do virtue, trying very hard to do what's right, what's virtuous. And then, of course, sometimes we just can't find the energy. We can't even find the energy to think virtuously, let alone to actually act virtuously. And we struggle with that. And there are times we find ourselves in having all the energy we need to do something that we know is not ultimately for our benefit. On the surface, that is. Like, we might know it's not to my benefit to shout at someone. And yet we find ourselves having all the energy to be able to do that. Where does that come from? It comes from that faith. You could say we took the power of faith, the power that faith gives us. We have it into, we make, we create the conviction that yelling, shouting, doing whatever it is that we know at the surface level is not good for us. We are convinced that, even though the surface level me has no idea what's good or what, it thinks that this thing is not good for him or for her. But deep inside, we know it's good for us. So because we know it's good for us, that's the unconscious conviction. We will give energy to be able to accomplish that. You know, some people, sometimes you find yourself finding lots of energy to do things that you've done before that you regretted, but And it's because of that conviction. Okay. So conviction is something that is conditional. We can convince ourselves about anything. And it's not simply on the surface level saying, I'm convinced this is such and such. It's a long period of direct exposure, that is directly exposing yourself to something that you make yourself, that it becomes almost automatic. Like you make yourself see, this is good for me because of this, because of that, because of this. Okay. You make yourself see that, not just think in your mind that it's good for you. I mean, people keep thinking about Buddhahood is good for them, but it's just at the surface. Enlightenment is good for them. Nirvana is good for them, but it's not a deep, it's not a conviction. So we have to make ourselves, allow ourselves to see how it is, how it is good for us, how we're going to get something out of it. And I mentioned, since this is the Bodhisattva path, and this has to do with compassion, well, of course, driven by compassion, right? Depending on your predisposition, if thinking very selfishly and such strange things as I'll be famous, if that's what truly your motivator, even though you don't want, you on the surface level think that it's not a good thing for me to strive for fame, but deep inside you, that's what you really want, because the conviction, whatever it is, maybe you were not so, you witness friends seemingly being happy because they were famous. So that created the conviction within you. If I'm famous, I'll be happy. Okay, that's where that conviction may have come from. Okay. So if that is sincerely your motivating, that's what you have to work with. Work with that. Work with that. If I practice, and if I practice with such diligence, I'll be famous. Okay, even though that's not the ideal motivating factor, motivating reason for doing this kind of thing, but if that's what you have, use it. And eventually, later on, you'll and allow yourself to see what fame really is. You'll become disgusted with it, and you will drop that and aspire to something else. So whatever is real for you, use it in the meantime. Okay. I would suggest you reread, if you haven't read it already, but go read Master Shantideva's chapter on diligence or joyful effort. So you reacquaint your mind with those things that may have gone by you when you read them the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the 10th time. Okay. Read them again. And now that you have this understanding, then this understanding will sort of help you shape what you're reading, so you can actually immediately begin to put them in practice. Oh man, there's a lot of things I'm supposed to say, but I'll say I really wanted to read this, and so okay, I'm basically using because there aren't that many. Okay, thanks. Thank you. There are many, I've read many commentaries on this perfection, the perfection of enthusiastic effort. And please don't accuse me of being biased. Okay. Jason Kappa's explanation is the most extensive that I've seen. Okay, I'm not being biased. I'm not a Jason Kappa. I'm a Jason Kappa fan. Okay, never mind. But you could say my condition is such that I read Jason Kappa's text on explaining the perfection of diligence in Islam Rim Chenmo, the great steps on the stages of the path, and I find it to be to me it's clearer, and it's actually pointing me, okay, do this, do that. Okay, so he lays out a lot of the steps for you, and I'm just going to summarize them for you. Okay, so beginning with faith, and that is a conditioning. It's not like I don't know how it is talked about in Christianity, and I can mention it because I was a Christian. I was born into a Christian family. I remember growing up Christian. Faith was something you either had or you didn't have. It wasn't a condition that you set yourself to develop. It was something that, do you have faith or you don't have faith? And somehow you're supposed to do some sort of miracle, and all of a sudden you have faith, and then boom, you're able to do miracles with it. Okay, those who have faith can say to the mountain, if some of you were Christians or Christians, remember, if you have faith, tell the mountain move, and the mountain will move. Oh boy, I wanted that faith so badly. I don't want to move a mountain. I just wanted to move a chair. Okay, anyway, so that's a conditioning, and it's make yourself see what is beneficial for you on the spiritual path. Okay, make yourself come to see those things as realities that even though you're not experiencing them now, you will be able to experience them. If there are possibilities that can be experienced. Okay? Faith is very important. And once you've established that, then every other part of developing this, of accessing this energy that's already there, they will just easily flow. But faith is very important. If you don't have faith, no matter how much you do the other steps, you're just gonna sometime touch it, and then you're gonna lose it. Okay. And what will happen? Discouragement will happen. You will find yourself, just like I said before, and okay, Sade is very important. A Sade concert is very important, so I'm not going to put Sade concert in that category. But you will find yourself finding energy to do things that are what you might call frivolous, things that don't really help your spirituality, but you will find the energy to be able to do those kinds of things. Okay, that's called engaging in things that are unvirtuous, and that's considered to be a kind of lelo, a kind of laziness. Okay, so the complete opposite of having enthusiasm is laziness, right? And laziness has its various manifestations. Laziness of discouragement, basically not wanting to do something. You can say that. Not wanting to do something because you don't have conviction, not wanting to do something because you're already convinced of something else will benefit you. Okay, man, all I can do is be happy for 5 minutes, and I know going to that Sade concert will make me be happy for 5 minutes. And it's not in my constitution to experience this thing that you're calling bliss forever. That's a conviction that you may have, and because of that conviction, you will find the energy to go towards Sade concert because it does give you that 5 minutes of pleasure. And you can't see this bliss for everything. Okay, you're not convinced of its reality. So that's engaging in frivolous things. And then the classic the classic laziness is procrastination. And look at procrastination. What is it? It is a very it takes a lot of work to develop this realization called procrastination, to bring into existence this experience called procrastination. You're basically looking at a direction, whatever that direction may be, inwardly, outwardly, and there is some kind of desire to go there, and you find yourself not able to go there. Something is holding you back. That's a very powerful thing. That's a very powerful condition that we have set up. It is a power. And all these things that I'm mentioning, they're aspects of our power, of what we are able to create. Do you see that? We have created a condition where on the surface, I want to go there, and yet I have created a power to hold me back. And that power is powerful enough so I can witness myself being held back. Even though at some surface level, this is important to do, I'll do it tomorrow, I have time. And there are many different ways of understanding procrastination, but basically it is that. We have conditioned ourselves to such a state because of conviction to withhold ourselves from spending energy in a certain direction. We withhold energy that we have access to. We withhold ourselves from accessing that energy. That's what it basically is. And all that are the conditions that we have to witness exist to whatever degree that exists within us, and be honest about them, and then recognizing that they're then we begin to work towards getting the conditions that will actually help us become free of these conditionings. So discouragement. Why are you discouraged? Discouragement basically means of all minds that exist, I have come to the unique realization that this mind of mine does not have the capacity to achieve those things that other beings have achieved. I am the sole human being who is not able to achieve what other human beings have been able to achieve. And that is a great realization that I've discovered. I am the unique species among existence that is not able to achieve enlightenment. And this is not something that we say, consciously say, but is a conviction that we have. And that's what creates discouragement. Now, the other things that you'll find in Jason Kapa's text, but remember how I mentioned it. But there's something I wanted to read to you from Master Sharawa. Oh my goodness, I love Master Sharawa. And this is especially for you guys, for you spiritual people. And this is something that I know you've experienced, okay? And my great for us, we have such great being as Master Sharawa to help us with those conditions, okay? You're supposed to be directing your energy in a certain direction, but for some reason, you can't access that energy, okay? For bodhisattvas who have not engaged in practice, all the bodhisattva deeds seems easy, right? You remember remember that day, remember? When you first read the Bodhisattva, when you first encountered Mahayana, oh, that's a piece of cake. Let me get into that boat. I can do that. Oh yeah, generosity, all the kind of, I can do that. So Bodhisattva who has not engaged in practice, all the Bodhisattva deeds seems easy, like looking at a target for arrows. And they do not even get discouraged. They don't get discouraged. Why? Because they don't really see the work that is involved. The reason that you experience discouragement is because your conviction is meeting your experience. It doesn't mean you have to give up. It means here is where this is your conviction. This is what you have to change. You have to change this conviction, okay? And it's meeting the reality. So we have to transform our conviction. So they don't even become discouraged. So at present, we lack a complete practice of the teachings. So we have not even reached the level at which we would have discouragement. Did you hear that? Did you hear what I just read? We have not even reached the level at which we would have discouragement. So discouragement is a realization. You are going through a period of wisdom. What is that wisdom? I have this conviction, even though I don't want it, and it's preventing me because I'm trying to do this and I can't do it. And you become discouraged. This discouragement is a sign that you're actually practicing. It's Master Sharawa, okay? I'm not saying it. Master Sharawa is saying it. You don't believe me? Master Sharawa. You don't believe Master Sharawa? Are you crazy? Master Sharawa said it. Reach the level at which we would have discouragement or self-contempt. Self-contempt, or basically, we basically use the word not having self-confidence. So there's a certain degree when you're on the path and you become discouraged about your capacity to fulfill because you are having a vision, you actually are beginning to see, oh my God, that's what it takes. And look at me now as I am, I'm not able to do that. And you become discouraged. You're seeing, you're gaining wisdom. You are actually progressing. This discouragement is a sign of progress. So don't let this discouragement become, oh, okay, that's it. Let me go back. You should celebrate this discouragement. You're not that person who has no idea. Say, oh, but he said, let me do it. All right. And because that person is not really practicing. You are practicing. You try to be patient. Oh my God, this is so difficult. You try to be compassionate. Oh my God, this is the most difficult thing. Oh, care for people. Of course I can do that. That's easy. And then some difficult person come into your life. Oh my God. And you're really trying to practice compassion. And you've encountered difficulty. That means you're practicing. Okay. And the reason that you begin to lose self-confidence is because you are progressing. You're making progress on the path. And listen to how Sharawa ends this. This is so beautiful. When we more fully appreciate. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Thank you. When we more fully appreciate the teachings, then there is a great danger of discouragement and lacking self-confidence. So just because you have discouragement, just because you have lack of self-confidence, they're not signs that you're not spiritual. It's because you are appreciating something that is truly magnificent. You're looking at the condition that you have brought yourself to up to this point and encountering this incredible vision. And you're honestly telling yourself, I'm not there yet. And what should we do when we have this realization? Is to remind ourselves of, you could say, this is an easy way out of it for me. Remind yourself of your Buddha nature. Remind yourself that remember the instances when you were able to tap into energy spontaneously, effortlessly. That means it is already within us to be able to do that. We just have to direct it consciously towards a direction where we are willfully, consciously connecting with energy. Then eventually, we will arrive at I guess you could say Xinjiang. We will arrive at a place where we are so consciously connected to energy that there is not a task that we want to accomplish that we'll find ourselves ever being discouraged from doing it, because we have gone through already the phase of real discouragement, or discouragement of which is a progress. We've gone through the phase of progress called lacking self-confidence. And because of that, that should encourage us. This discouragement should encourage us to make more progress. Although I can't see the result of my actions right now, I have faith, I have conviction that they will lead to what I really want. And that will carry us. And eventually, there will be a transformation, a physiological transformation. I don't know what you call that. A neurological transformation, where we are always in awareness, in the presence of energy. We will not begin something that we cannot finish. And once we begin something, we will just find natural, we will just find the natural flow to see it through. And that reminds me of something I should mention to you. How is it that we develop the conditioning of not being able to connect to energy? And that's something that I know from personal experience. Not finishing things that you started. It creates a habit of being disconnected from energy. You begin to initiate something and we let it go. It's like we're telling it's like we're saying yeah, 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 yeah to the universe. Give me some energy, and then you get the energy. I don't want it. You throw it away. You don't use the energy to fulfill what you said you were going to do with it, what you were going to do with it. Okay, it's like you probably have. I don't know if you've experienced that when you were younger or even now. Your friend asks you for, can I borrow $10? And you're thinking that they're going to do something virtuous with it, and then went out and get some cigarettes or something. I'm never going to give that guy $10 ever again. So we keep asking, we ask the universe. Sorry, I'm you for using that term. Some of you probably don't like it, but we go through the process of connecting to energy. We initiate to do something, and then we drop the ball. We don't accomplish it. So before we begin anything, examine, do I have it within me to finish it? Okay. And if we don't find within ourselves the capacity to finish it, don't start it. And just like Master Chandindava always says, begin with just carrots. Begin your training of generosity with just carrots. So begin your practice of aligning yourself with abundant energy by doing little things. And we need to see ourselves, I'm going to do this. We need to see ourselves engaging in trying to finish it. And we need to see ourselves, oh, look, I have finished it. That is the process where we are connected ever more to this endless fountain of energy. And this endless fountain of energy is possible to be connected to connect to. And it begins with a little step and another step and then another step. So, and this is mainly for myself. I don't know if any of you fall into that category, but this is mainly for me to drill it into my mind. Don't start anything that you're not going to finish. Because later on, when you even try to finish them, you're doing those very same things a disservice because you're distracted You have so many different things that you're left undone. Okay. Know your capacity and act accordingly. When you're tired, rest. Rest is very important. Don't be some kind of hero, some kind of martyr where you exhaust yourself. That is also wasting this sacred energy that we have access to. Okay. Eventually, we will get to that place where we become completely incapable of being tired. That is a state, but you're not there yet. Be realistic, just like that realistic vision that made you have your first progress of discouragement. So have that same reality check. This is what I can do, and then do. I cannot do this, so don't even begin. And we're not talking about just physical things. I'm going to help you move your furniture, and you discover that you can't lift the furniture. I'm not talking about that kind of thing only. Also, things that seems to be prompted by compassion. Yes, you may have the compassion, may have the desire to aid someone in some way. That's beautiful. But what is your capacity to fulfill the aim of that compassion? And be real with that. Because later on, if you don't, that will become what do you call that? Nurture. That will become food for the other kind of discouragement, where it will eventually you will drop it because I can't do this. I can't do this compassion thing. I can't do this patient thing. It's too much for me. It's not for me. Okay, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. Okay, right. So there are a lot of other points to cover with this perfection of enthusiastic effort, but that's all we can cover within the short time that we have. And I hope that I was able to cover to some degree that you can actually begin to actually consider it something to try. Okay. And before I go, I want to one last thing about my retreat. Those of you who are lucky to find yourself interested in trying to attempt to truly develop what's the next perfection, the perfection of meditation. You really want to perfect that. What is the realization? There is really no true milestones to be achieved without perfecting meditation. Okay, so whenever you can, to whatever capacity you have, try to really establish your mind in meditative state. Okay, but that's where true milestones are achieved. Everything else is just the compassion of very, very, very highly advanced compassionate beings. They're not really yours. They're being rented to you. Okay. All right. I think yeah, I've reached the end. Reached the time, or we passed the time. And again, thank you guys for showing up, even though we are always sending the email like the day of, and there you go, you show up. Thank you very much. And thank you to Liz for giving me any kind of organization that I'm able to demonstrate. because that is a skill that I've yet to master. Not even master, to flirt with. I'm flirting with it. All right, so let's do the same meditation. This time, I'm not gonna make you suffer a whole 10 minutes. The thing is, relax. Don't try to control your mind. Don't try to control your experience. Be aware of your experience. If you're experiencing mental discomfort, that's what's happening. I'll be aware of it. That's wisdom, because that's what's happening. And what is your energy while you're experiencing mental discomfort? Okay, that's what the meditation is. It's not about some sort of metaphysical, mysterious energy you're supposed to touch, you're supposed to contact, and then if you're not contacting it, then something is wrong with your meditation. No. Okay. All right, just 5 minutes. Just have the intention to connect with energy that's already there. However you are experiencing it, to whatever degree you can be aware of it. You can begin by bringing attention to the body and let that connect you to some kind of experience of energy or the breath, whatever, and keep relaxing. And it begins. Within this experience of being connected to any kind of energy, while you're feeling that, think of us gathered here. And without imagining it, but whatever comes to you as us, whatever feels like an energetic us, connect to it. And consider whatever it is that we have gathered here, whatever merit we have gathered here, whatever positive energy we have collected together. Share it with the world, see it radiating as energy, becoming what people really need. And if you know the words, you can say the words of the dedication. We say it only in Tibetan, just because the Tibetan has a melody. Gewa di kewa kun. Senam yeshe tsogzog shin. Senam yeshe lechong wei. Damba kunyi toba sho. Through this, may everyone have a true appreciation of the path, and may they be blessed with reaching the discouragement and the lack of self-confidence, which is a progress of being on the path, and go beyond it. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Phuntsok. And thank you so much to everyone here who joined the live session and everyone tuning in to the recordings wherever you are. And please make your offering for this class, which you can submit directly to Phuntsok's Venmo or through ongoing patronage through Patreon to your capacity. And wish you all meaningful practice. We'll meet again in 2 weeks to receive the perfection of meditative absorption.